that the outside is fleeting though. So you might have even a moment of your peak of beauty, but then that peak is going to change if you're 30 and beautiful when you turn 50, and there's always this upkeep, where to the Lord, beauty can be sustainable throughout time when it's based in Him.
Like we all have beauty inside and out. God gave each one of us our features for a reason, our personalities, our traits. And so
beautiful. And in the end, if we all go and get plastic surgery and look exactly the same, it's like there's less beauty in the world, you know? I mean, even just in nature, right? You see this beautiful sunset and you love it. No one ever asks like, well, how do you keep a balance between being obsessed with the sunset and loving God? It's like, I think in a way, appreciating like, I'm His creation, but the focus is like on Him.
Hi everyone, welcome to In the Middle. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Natasha. And I'm Tiffany.
And today we have a special guest. We have Helen Morrison. She is a 5th generation female owner and the face of Frownies. Welcome, Helen.
Welcome.
I'm so excited for all of us to sit down and talk with you. Frownies is such a big deal and blowing up, but there's obviously a lot more to who you are than just the business. So tell us, how did you get to Texas? And then we'll go into Frownies.
Yeah, like you said, I'm Helen. I am 41 years old. I've been married to my husband for 14 years. We met here in Texas. We have 2 kids, Sunny and Maverick. Sunny is 6 and Maverick is 9. We have actually only been back in Texas for the past almost 4 years. We spent the first 10 years of our marriage out in Arizona, where my husband was a pilot and he was all into his aviation career. I've actually also been teaching yoga for about 16 years. So I did a lot with fitness and yoga and things like that out there. When I had my babies, I started doing some more like online personal nutrition and fitness consulting and coaching and things like that. But that's where I like got into social media. And so now, I do all the social media and all the content for our brand, but also really found a love for social media and all the aspects of it and the way that it can, really, I've experienced it, the way that it can kind of blow up all kinds of things and really connect people too. So that's where I'm at and what I've been doing. And we kind of moved back to Texas just to be near to family now that we're in the my family's business, but my husband's family is here. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So have you always been into beauty? I know that this is a 5th generation company to where you've been raised around this, but would you say that you've always felt connected to the beauty industry and just beauty with women?
Well, in general, I would say probably there's something in the heart of almost every woman that's a little bit always into beauty. Maybe not totally for everybody, but I think that I feel like God kind of created women to like reflect His beauty. And so there's a part of that, I think, in the heart of all of us. So yes, in a way, I've always been into beauty in some degree. I would say lesser than, I'm one of 5 kids and I have 2 sisters, and they both were very, very much into beauty and fashion. I'm the oldest of us. My middle sister is a makeup artist, esthetician, hair, did all the things, went to makeup school in New York, and she still does like bridal makeup and things like that. And my younger sister was also always very into makeup. The 2 of them would go to school full glam, and I was, way more basic. I still say like, oh, I'm the basic one. But she's very into fashion and does fashion design and things like that now too. So there's definitely been in our family a connection to beauty. Like I said though, I think I was very much more the most natural, basic of the 3. I tell them I learn everything from you guys.
No, I love that.
And I like what you said about there's a little bit, I think, in every girl. I have 3 little girls, and from the time they could really walk, they had like their fake makeup and little purses. And I agree. I think it's something that the Lord, it's a reflection of His beauty. So how do you keep a balance with you're a believer, with your walk and the importance of who we are in Christ, but also in comparison to our beauty? Like, how do you keep that balance in your life?
I think it really comes down to just staying connected to the heart of God, because if your focus is on him and your desire is for him, then the desires of your heart and things you naturally love, like he wants to grant you the desires of your heart. He wants you to have a full life and have joy and these things, right? And so it's really like the motive and like what's your focus. I think you can like enjoy beauty and love. I mean, even just in nature, right? You see this beautiful sunset and you love it. No one ever asks like, well, how do you keep a balance between being obsessed with the sunset and loving God? It's like, I think in a way, appreciating like, I'm his creation, but the focus is like on him and, you know, bringing him glory and not just the focus on yourself and making yourself look good in your own glory. So it's that balance of like, where's your focus? And then I think, you know, just like you watch a little girl dress up and twirl around the mirror and there's delight in that, I think it can be the same way with us. We make it more complicated because we get focused on our insecurities and we get focused on this other stuff. But if we're just like delighting in him and then like, you like to dress up and feel beautiful, whatever. It's like, it's okay. You know, kids, even with kids, you can watch how they do it. And if we can say, they're like an unaware, even though they're loving this like moment of beauty they're having, they're kind of also unaware because their focus is not on really just fixing something that's wrong with themselves. It's just in enjoying and living and being, you know, a reflection of his glory, really.
As you're describing that, I'm thinking little kids, they're not thinking about their identity. So it is they're able to just float in like the princess outfits or whatever. And then they go on and play in the mud with their friends after that. Like they're just on, well, we stop and it's like an identity and we take it on as a nameplate basically. And so what do you, with your background in beauty and where you're at with the Lord, like how do you encourage women that get stuck in that because of the culture and stuff that they have a hard time? It's almost like separate. I can be in the presence of God and focus on him and find identity, but then I step out into this world and there seems to be a hard disconnect.
Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge that it is hard. And the culture that we live in and everything that we're surrounded by, there is for sure a message to women that your value is in the way you look and there's a cultural standard and there's a lot of messages that are toxic and hurtful. So just want to say it's not easy, right? But I think one of the most important things to me, and one thing I'm very grateful for from my own mother, it's the words that you speak. I think that our words have power. Like God created us by his word, right? And his spoken word. And he had that creative power in his word. And he like lives in us and he has put these same things, we're made in his image, right? And so I think that the words that we speak are really important. And I think the first thing you have to do is start to notice like what is coming out of my mouth. Because even without thinking, most women in the course of 5 minutes around another woman, you will hear her say something negative about herself, right? That's true. And we don't even notice, but like our words, our body, every cell in our body, our brain, it hears everything that we say to ourselves. Everything we say to others, and it becomes this belief about yourself. And so you're trying to have this belief in God, but you're speaking all these beliefs that are contrary to the message that he has for us and the hope that he has for us. And, you know, you wouldn't ever go out into nature and like, talk about that. Oh, look at that tree and that gnarly root thing that's hanging off of it. Like, you know, you enjoy and you appreciate things as they are. And I think that for me, it's really important that you watch what you say. And I was super fortunate that truly in my entire life, I've never heard my mom make a negative comment about herself ever.
Wow.
And, you know, there was no talk about dieting. There was no talk about anything about how she looked that wasn't, you know, and I wouldn't say, like, my mom is beautiful, but she's not like this society standard plastic surgery, like, you know, cover model person. She's just a normal woman, right? And there are things that I think anyone can pick apart about themselves.
Of course.
But I think it's just creating a discipline and a habit of stopping yourself and retraining your mouth. And that retrains your brain. If your brain's naturally walked these pathways so many times of negativity about yourself, of putting yourself down, of saying these things, you just do it and you don't even know you're doing it.
That's so good.
And so it's just, I think that he calls us to watch the words of our mouth and the meditations of our heart, right? And we're really in the realm of beauty, we don't. And I think we often say things like regularly, you know? So whereas in culture too, there's this like, don't be proud, don't talk about your, like there's this message of like, you have to be beautiful, but don't ever say you're beautiful. Don't ever act like you think you know you're beautiful. Or, you know, so it's a very hard,
it is hard.
It's a fine line to walk to please society, right? But I think that's not, for us as believers, that's not the goal, is not to please society.
Helen, I absolutely loved hearing you talk about your story and how you were raised, how your mother really was that positive example of how to love herself. And as you were sharing that story, I immediately thought of the different women that I have personally encountered to where I didn't look at their physical beauty. It was their inner beauty that literally radiated and was so attractive to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to know this person. She's either been spending time with Jesus or she knows who she is. So this kind of gives us the question, what is beauty?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question because, like I said, culture, and just even within our country specifically, there is a standard that is like this agreed upon, this is what's beautiful. And I think in focusing on, like keeping your focus on the Lord, the reality is beauty is all around us in all kinds of shapes and sizes and forms. And if you're into art in any way, you know, if you go in the art world, there's all kinds of things that I might be like, well, that's weird, you know? But it's like somebody else sees it like, oh man, that's so beautiful. That's so cool. And I think that we have to realize that there's so many different forms of beauty, and God created all of this, right? And he obviously appreciates beauty because, like, look around. Look at things that are purely in his hand. You look at the mountains, the sunset, the ocean. It's like incredible. But there's not a standard that we're comparing it to. We're letting each thing reflect God's glory for what it is. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, you guys are here talking with women. I have so many women friends, and I think all of them are just gorgeous. They don't all feel that way about themselves, but like what you said, the reason that I find them so beautiful is like I'm looking into their eyes and seeing the light in their eyes and like the glory of God shining out of them. And that's really what makes them beautiful. And truthfully, all women are beautiful. Like women just are beautiful. And it's not about like, do you have a certain brow? Do you have a certain lip size? Do you have like a certain cheekbone? That's not really what makes it beautiful. And in the end, if we all go and get plastic surgery and look exactly the same, it's like there's less beauty in the world. You know, I think each one of us reflects a different part of God's glory and God's beauty, and that's what we were created to reflect, that part of his heart. And it has a whole lot more with like you said, what's going on the inside is coming out and making you beautiful on the outside. And I mean, for men too, right? Like how many women have met a guy and they're not interested at all. And then they get to know him and they see him laughing. They see his personality. It's the spirit within and the personality that comes out that really like creates the beauty. You know?
I think that's why the Bible says that God looks on the inside where man looks on the outside. And I know we have it here, Proverbs 31:30, charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. And that the outside is fleeting though. So you might have even a moment of your peak of beauty, but then that peak is going to change if you're 30 and beautiful when you turn 50. And there's always this upkeep where to the Lord, beauty can be sustainable throughout time when it's based in him. And I love how you talked about that. I think, you know, I love what you said about, no offense to anyone with upkeep, because we should upkeep. But if everybody gets the same upkeep, then we're all going to look the same. And like you said, there's no difference. So I think what's beautiful is since God made us so different, our personalities, our quirks, our different facial features, they're all so different. And that's so wonderful. The inside, though, like you said, can make us beautiful, but let's go to the other side. Yeah. How many beautiful men or beautiful women do you know who didn't do that heart work? Yeah. And there's no amount of beauty that can Band-Aid a bad heart.
Right.
Yeah. And that's, again, is reiterating what Helen has been sharing with us, right? That we are called to reflect the glory of God. And if we keep that as our anchor and our focus, then we really can't fail. And even with you being in the beauty industry and leading and being the face, it's easy for women to look at you and your life and think, oh my gosh, she just has it's 5th generation and she's able to just live this amazing life. But even just before we came here on the set, you shared with us that you are in the middle of something. And this is what our show is all about, is being able to encourage women who are in seasons of transition or in the middle of something hard or something beautiful. So would you mind sharing with our audience, what is God doing in your heart right now in the middle of your season?
So I will say, I came and started working at Frownies in 2020. And I had no idea what that was going to look like or where we were going to go. I thought to myself, okay, yeah, I'm familiar with social media. I'll do some Instagram stories, no big deal. This will be easy. And really moving into this role, a big motivation was, like I said earlier, my husband was a pilot and he was gone 208 days a year. Wow. So I was with two small, my children at the time were, through birth through 4 years old for my son. So, when he finished, they were 2 and 4, 2 and 5. And I thought this will be great. We can be together more as a family. And this is it. I want more freedom, more time, more space, more time with our family. And the business blew up, right? In a good way, blew up. And really, we've nearly 8x the business since then, as far as the growth, but not internal team. And, it's a family business, and family businesses have their challenges, and things have grown so fast that, life has been a whirlwind, and if you have small children too, as they get older, there's sports, there's school activities, they have a whole life that I could just focus on that and be good. Full day. Yep. Then I have this business and the social media and all the things. It's just been a flood. It's like being hit in the face with a tsunami, thinking oh, this is going to be no big deal. And it's a great problem, but it's also, it comes with challenges. And then the challenges of navigating family relationships that I thought, oh, this is going to be fine because I live across the country and we don't really work together. So it's not going to have any bearing on our relationship. Well, now there's a lot more decisions to be made and there's a lot more conversations to be had and there's different opinions and there's, a struggle there. And like I mentioned earlier, my mom being an amazing role model of confidence and speaking life about herself. At the same time, we did not have a good relationship. And it's her and I doing this, And so for us, navigating how do you have a professional relationship, a family relationship, make decisions about this business and the future of it and the changes that are happening and coming. There's just a lot, And so I definitely, and then there's the day-to-day things, recently, our family lost someone that we love. And, it's that kind of thing just added to the pile, right? What else? What else, God? So it's just, I think I say all the time to my husband, he'll ask me, what do you need? What can I do? And I'm well, now that you asked. And I list this list of things that's impossible. It's what I need is a full-time chef and a this and that. I need the whole world to pause for 2 days while I don't pause and I keep doing everything. It's nice. So I think it's what I'm in the middle of is really just a tornado of a lot of things, all good things, all valuable, nothing that, I know that God's put me here and it's kind of this do the next right thing kind of season. And I know sometimes we get ourselves wrapped up in the stress of life and it's you're doing this to yourself. You need to be able to say no. You need to be able to put that down. But I can really tell that God has given me everything I need to get through each day, like my daily bread. And I know that he has given me strong shoulders to do this and to carry this forward, and really within the company, even like to create this legacy for my children and their children. And, you know, as much as it sounds glamorous, it's like a fifth generation business. It was like a mom and pop, tiny, you know, thing. And now I'm like, I've never done this before. And that's a lot in parenting, in business, in all the things. I'm like, God, I've never done this before.
You like surrender that. And I love your vulnerability and sharing that with us, because I think it's so important for our viewers to hear that. And that's our heart behind this show. I mean, you are beautiful on the inside and on the outside. And it's so easy to look at people and to think you know their story, and to think that like, oh, they don't have a problem, or maybe that, you know, they're not going through what I'm going through. But to hear you share, you know, everyone's got family issues or personal just responsibilities, the stresses of life. And I think it's really important for people to hear that, and to still hear that you have a heart also, though, for your physical health. I mean, you share that you're a yoga instructor and that you've, you know, focused on diet and helping other people. And so integrating those things, I think, is so important and powerful for us as women. We don't have to pick, and it's okay to take care of ourselves and to love ourselves and to nurture our spirit, but also our physical bodies too. So thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that stuff.
So good. And as you were talking, what came up to mind was just because how you started in 2020, and that was also a very pivotal year in the world, right? Like that was when COVID happened, and you know, made the decision to come in. So it's like God has really used you to come in and shift the trajectory of this company. So I just want to encourage you that you are on the right path and to keep going forward, because you're pioneering something new, right? And I know that it can be hard, especially when it's never been done before, or just, you know, I'm sure like what your grandmother and great grandmother experienced back then is different than what is happening right now. So I hope you guys were encouraged by that, because that was just so brave of you, whether you are a business owner or not, whether you're a mother at home with your children or you're running your own company, just being encouraged that God is with you in the middle. And I love how you said that he's been giving you your daily bread, and that's enough. To keep us going.
I wanted to ask you, when you were talking about early on in marriage, and you weren't a single mom, obviously you had a great husband, still have a great husband, but I mean, you were kind of like a single mom when they travel that much. My dad traveled a ton internationally, and so my mom did a lot on her own. And now you're here and you have more family support. Can you talk to the mom, or just whoever, that seasons of life change? So you have to adapt. And so what was the work-life balance, work-family balance then versus now? And what is your kind of go-to to be flexible with that? Because I think people can get stuck, and how do you transition what worked then now?
Yeah. Well, it was a really, really difficult season when my husband was on the road so much, and I was pregnant and having babies and alone. And I feel like when we were in Arizona, it was an extremely alone, lonely season. Just with him being gone so much too. And for the first years, he was like on call, so we would like leave in the middle of the night, and it was just like whatever. And so there really was no schedule, there was no system except for whatever I kind of made up for the kids and I. But you know, he and I really had to live, more so me, in a way that I just thought, kind of act like, well, you're not even here. You're not even a part of our life. I have to just do as if you're never going to be here. And then if you're here, great. And if you're not, whatever. But living like that takes a toll. And I don't think that marriage was designed to be like that. So we were definitely struggling, and we were in a really hard place. And I have to say too, as much as, you know, a lot of people look at Frownies and they could see me all over social media, and a lot of people give me a lot of the praise for what has happened. The reality is my husband made an extreme sacrifice giving up this career and passion that he loves. I mean, you don't find many pilots that quit. Most of them do lose their families though. And so he really made the choice to set aside his passion and his career and his love of aviation, because it's not something you can do as a hobby, really. You're either all in or you're out. And he gave it up so that we could do this. And, you know, that was really a challenge for him. But immediately, I would say 2020, as much as the world was falling apart, that was really the year that we were coming back together. And we were rebuilding. And just having that year together, that was the first time we were together and not all the time apart. And I wondered when he made that change, I wondered like, oh no, this could be like, I don't know if I actually want you to be here, because it's hard when you're here, it's hard when you're gone. Like, what are we gonna do? But once we came together, because we work together in the company too. I'm at the front, but he's in the back and really being a ninja and making it happen. But we realized we actually are better together, and we love working together. And we went from never seeing each other to we're like 24/7 in each other's faces. And there's challenges, but I think what's been so sustaining in the middle of where we are right now is that as hard as the season is that we're in right now, the season prior was hard, and we were almost like against each other. And being in the middle right now, but being able to be together in it, and even in the community of people that we have here, being not alone anymore, that's what allows you to go through the seasons. When you're alone and you're isolated and you're in the middle of something, that's when you're the most vulnerable to not making it out, you know? So, I mean, I guess my encouragement would be like, get around community, get around other women, lean into relationships in your life that are healthy, because you need people when you're in the middle of all that, you know?
So true.
And kind of what you said earlier about like people think they see you and they know you. I will say, just kind of bringing it back around, I'm on social media, and people, I do go places and people are like, you're the Frownies lady. And it's a little weird. But, people do think they know me and they think they know how it is. And then, the haters want to bring you
media
down,
can be,
and tear you down. And I will say I've definitely been on the receiving end of a lot of hate, whether it's people hating me for just promoting toxic beauty culture, or people hating me because I look too old, or I look too this, or I'm not, like your face is weird. And it's like you have people who hate you for trying to be beautiful, and people for hate you for not being beautiful enough. And they all think that they know you, and they all think that they understand what it is. And it's like, people, everyone that you ever see, like you said, there is a story behind the face of what's going on in somebody's life. It's like when I mentioned, recently our family lost somebody, it's like, and I had to get on social media the next day and like, hey guys, and people don't know the story behind the face all the time. And so, I mean, here I am in the middle of whatever. And the only thing people know is the highlight reel that's shared on Instagram, unless you sit down and have a conversation with somebody.
And that goes back to what you said about our words matter. Our words matter about the outside beauty, the inside beauty, for myself, for y'all, and how when a hater comes, I could just back that up and say, absolutely not, Helen, we're not going to take that because you're beautiful no matter what. And the community aspect is so important, our words for ourselves and other people.
And being mindful of that, like speaking not only kindly to ourselves, but to others, because if we're honest, I'm sure we've all had critical thoughts of other people, just like we've had of ourselves, but being able to see other people as creations of the Lord. Like we all have beauty inside and out. God gave each one of us our features for a reason, our personalities, our traits. And so being able to not only see that, but call that out and make it even a point to tell someone. Like so many times I'll think something and it's like that might make someone's day to just say, hey, I think you look beautiful today, in whatever way, whether that's a physical attribute or something about their personality, just really speaking life over people, because you don't know what everyone's going through.
Well, and I'm the kind of person, I think everyone looks familiar. So literally just the other day at lunch, this girl walked in and I thought, oh, that's such and such. No, that wasn't her. And then I was like, well, you know what she looks like? And she looked like this actress. And I talk to strangers a lot. And so before I left, and I was with a friend, she's like, what are you doing? But I walked over to her and I was like, I'm sorry if you saw me staring, but I thought you were this person. You're not, but you really look like this actress. Just that little comment. Oh my God. She literally, I don't know if it was her husband or who, but he was like, you just made her week. She was like, I'm not kidding. That just made my month. I would have never thought that. And that was just a stranger, let alone our own community. We totally need that. So
on that note, I will say one thing about me. I always say like I have like compliment throw up syndrome. I really do have, in a way, like I would say a healthy, but I am obsessed with beauty. And I don't mean beauty in the world standard, but like I see things and I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
And I can't stop myself. Like, I'm always telling people like, oh my goodness, I love this, I love that. And I know you guys have kind of like asked me even before the show and some of the questions of like, well, how do you balance like caring about your outward beauty, but also your inward beauty, and like, where's the line? I kind of take it all into almost this like gratitude practice of, with all the things, I think that being grateful and like counting your blessings, it's like cliche, but it's really important. And I think it's easy. Like you said, you see that in others. It's a lot harder for people to do about themselves. So a great way to start is, I just love the phrase, I love the way. And for me, I think in your life, when you're feeling down and like cranky and whatever, it's like focusing on the gratitude and shifting your perspective to gratitude for what God is doing, what he's given you, the people in your life. It really changes things. And I think if you start with the phrase like, I love the way, and whatever, just even sitting in this room, it's like, I love the way that purple like makes your eyes like pop, like I love the way your earrings are just like bright and fun, and you're, like you can just look at and forget about just even people. It's like even in your life, like I love the way that children run around and they're just so free spirited and they don't care. And if you just go down this road of I love the way, I love the way, I love the way, you literally start, it's like you're stirring up the spirit in you with gratitude. And you're noticing the real beauty of life.
Right.
And I think even with yourself, it's like we're guilty as women. It's like you're guilty if you do, you're guilty if you don't, you're not enough if you do, you're not enough if you don't. And I think if you just like put all that aside and like be able to practice, like look in the mirror, like I love the way I have these nice like lifted cheekbones. I love the way I have these round plump cheeks. I love the way my shoulders are strong. I love the way, and then there's this like, when you love something, you take care of it. And I think we can feel guilty for caring about how we look, but like God created you to look as beautiful as you are. And if you're like making it even more, you're taking care of your skin, you're doing your serum, whatever. It's like a practice of even giving glory to God of like, I love this, what you've created, I love what you've put in me, and appreciating all of the ways he's made you who you are.
So true.
And when you serve someone, you end up loving them more. And when you're taking care of yourself and you're going to have that love for you, and not in a kind of like self-obsessed, prideful way, but in a way of like, you do it with your children and you don't feel like any kind of like I shouldn't be doing this, but like you fix your daughter's hair or, you wrap presents for them to make it really beautiful and special. And, you do these things to care for the people you love. And we don't do enough to care for ourselves. Like God, the ultimate gift God has given you is your life. You don't have control over anyone else or anything else, but he's given you your life and your body, and like taking care of it. You are the temple of the Holy Spirit. And, if you think about what he asked about building the temple, the requirements around that were like ornate, and this is his temple. And he doesn't have a requirement that I look like you or that you look like Kim Kardashian. That's not it. But it's taking care of the thing he's given you and making it beautiful for his glory. And again, it does start on the inside, but you can't really take care of the outside in a way that's going to make a difference without taking care of the inside. Because look at how the world approaches, like, even if you think about like fitness, it's like they get obsessed and then they go down these holes of like diets that are really going to wreck your health. That's not taking care of your beauty. You're destroying yourself, right? And so I think if you're coming from, it's all about like your motive. Like, what is my motivation here? Is it like, am I doing this because I think I'm disgusting and I have to fix the thing that God messed up on? No. But if it's like, God created me, he knew, like, he created me and knit me together in my mother's womb. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And why would I then neglect to take care of this thing that he fearfully and wonderfully made? And if my motive is in glorifying him and honoring him with my body, honoring him with my words, my thoughts, the things that I do. And then like, do you like makeup? Do you not? Do you like dressing up? Do you not? Do you like high heels? Do you not? Like, that's all just fun. Right. It's like confetti. It's preference. It's just that's not what makes you beautiful. That's just what you it's what you're into. It's like
that is like, oh my gosh, so good. Because
so good.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and she is into wellness coaching, and I was sharing with her how I've been struggling with just like consistency over the years to just like take care of myself. It's like, and it's not intentional. It's just like, I think life happens and you're going and you're caring for other people. And then, but I was talking to her and, you know, she was like, give yourself grace and everything. But the Lord's also been teaching me personally, Natasha, if you don't love what you look like right now, you're not going to love what you are picturing beauty is in your head, right? Because it's like, whether you're trying to be a certain size, you're trying to have a certain length of hair, it's not going to be fulfilling. But what you're sharing is that what is foundational is understanding God's beauty. It's understanding that that is where beauty is seated. When it's watered with God's word, when it's watered with people who believe in that same beauty, that's where it grows. So I just think that is just so healthy for women to know, is that if you don't love yourself, whether you're 300 pounds, 400 pounds, or you want to lose 20 pounds, you have to love this, you know? And I think society touches us, no, hate this and love this. And then it just causes more confusion. It causes, you know, eating disorders. It causes like these unhealthy diet, you know, lifestyles. So that was just so encouraging because it's not going to work.
Well, don't you think as moms too, I mean, we physically sacrifice our bodies. And you carry a baby. My last child was 9 pounds, 4 ounces. And it's like that. I'm a small person. So it's like physically our bodies change. And even if you haven't had a child, just as you age, like as women, we're not going to look the same at 30 as I did at 15 or 60 as I did at 40. And so giving ourselves grace, but also seeing the beauty in each season. Like I look back when I maybe was younger and before I had kids, but it's like I'm a different person on the inside now. And so I see beauty in a different way. And I think it's so important to remember that. And I'm sure, you know, the other mothers can agree with that. But as moms, it's especially, I know we have a lot of moms watching, it can be really hard because we almost feel like it's a badge of honor to neglect ourselves. But it's okay to say, you know what, I'm going to make an effort to maybe go on a walk or to spend time with the Lord, like in worship. And those are all ways that we can take care of ourselves, and we will see the reflection of it, not only inwardly, but outwardly. We feel better.
I love that. And I love, you hit it right on the head of, if we are not content and happy where we are right now, then that is not going to be a place of happiness too. And just taking the Lord's presence and how he sees us with us, because he sees the beauty in every season. When you're 9 months pregnant, when you've had your 4th kid, whether you've just lost 100 pounds and you have saggy skin, I mean, the Lord sees the beauty. And so getting his perspective of what beauty is in each season, I think is what can carry us through. So many people are going to want to connect with you. Can you tell us all the ways to connect with you for the Frownies, for just you as a person? Where can we connect with you?
Well, I spend most of my days on Instagram. So, you can follow me on the Frownies Instagram channel at Frownies. You can follow me personally. My name is Helen K. Morrison. But yeah, I'm usually better at like an Instagram DM even than a text. Do not email me. But yeah, that's probably the easiest thing, and then we can connect and you go from there.
That conversation was so impactful, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. So many people are going to want to connect with you. Where can they go as a company, Frownies, and then you as a person?
Yeah, well, I spend most of my time on Instagram, so you can find me on the Frownies Instagram channel at Frownies. I get all of the DMs, and if I don't get it, my assistant will pass it to me. Or you can follow me personally, Helen K. Morrison. I am probably better at Instagram DMs than a text message, and do not email me. I will never respond.
Well, thank you so much. Gosh,
such an honor.
Yeah. And just remember, there's laughter,
hope, and belonging
in the middle. We'll see you next time.